Does the NBA indeed really stand upright in discipline, ensuring the discipline of its members? Because there are a lot of corrupt practice even amongst lawyers. Because of how we have made politics so lucrative in Nigeria, we are having this challenge, impunity, lawlessness, and all that. Then you suspend that person entirely from everything, including the presentation of the constituent.
Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Updated Precious. And here we bring on an update of Matadem with a shell for inside Nigeria. What is going on? Plenty is full for my mouth today to give on that. What is actually the role of the NBA in our society if they cannot perhaps stand up against judicial rascality? What in NBA they really do if they no fit speak up about these things?
Okay, the NBA could speak, but it's not the NBA that disciplines judges. So for the NBA, it will be lawyers. So it's a combination of the NBA and the NJC. So the NJC for discipline of judges and judicial officers.
But who they constitute the NJC? That's not still the problem. Who they constitute the NJC? Do you not think that's what we need an electoral reform, sir? Sorry.
Yes, it's not about the constituting authority for any agency. Everywhere across the world is similar in terms of constituting bodies. But you wait and don't constitute you don't get conscience. It's just like I say now. Even if you say you're a political godfather and you helped me through my election and I have won, I thank you. I appreciate you. I continue to acknowledge you. In fact, in the ways that are reasonable and responsible, I would always acknowledge you. Do I not have conscience again for you to now come and tell me how to rather, if it is not my own nature and it's not my program, it's not my agenda, not to develop my people, then you will come and tell me because you supported me, you bought forms for me. So the same way, see, fair enough, like I said, comparative constitutional analysis or study, the constitutions of countries are similar. Even we watch here when even the US, the judges have been appointed now or elsewhere. So before you know now, people will say, there were our judges, why would the president that you appoint, there is a check even in that process. The president alone does not begin and end in determining who becomes a judge. So you recommend, in fact, you even first have a commission, either the National Judicial Commission or a State Judicial Commission, that look around and expectedly will objectively recommend certain persons to be appointed judges and send it to the governor to do his appointment. So the governor does that duty in the constitution by appointing. This appointment, people would understand, is almost like a recommendation as well. So when the governor appoints, it goes to the National Judicial Council. Those judges go through, expectedly, should have been a rigorous screening. In all regard, your character, your integrity, your records, then your qualifications, your performance while a lawyer. There are a lot of requirements that will qualify you. So the NJC does that. And then it is when you go through, they get back to the governor that the person you recommended or the person you appointed based on the recommendation by the State Judicial Commission or the National Judicial Commission is fit to be appointed a judge. Then the governor now swears that person in.
All right, let me quickly take this call.
I say, why it's not the president that appointed them, it's not the governor that appointed them. So they appointed you to go, and you are there. When they appoint you, you become an independent entity if you really have conscience.
So bottom line, what's make our judiciary or all our institutions did the way they did now because of innate corruption or perhaps lack of moral?
Yes. Corruption is a big problem in our country to the extent that it's in every sector. And then it's such that where corruption pervades, where corruption is rife, you find out that even where you have the best of legislations, if the corrupt elements that are meant to implement even those laws, those legislations, right, don't even find ways to circumvent, because there may be a smart way to want to maneuver or manipulate, circumvent, go the roundabout way of that provision, right, to do their corrupt practices. Sometimes, if it's so impossible for them to do so, they act in apparent disobedience and, if you like, violation of that law. That is where we call impunity. That is to say, you know that this thing is wrong, and you know that even the way you're doing it is not like you're doing it roundabout way, because you cannot. This one you cannot go a roundabout way, so you just do them. Then nothing will happen, and that's also in Nigeria. So it's a mix of corruption and impunity. Most
All
of
right,
what the
sir.
governors
Make we quick.
nothing will happen. Nobody will give me anything.
I say, I want to ask the lawyer, what is the role of NBA in our society? Because we all keep on going, the judiciary is corrupt, this, that, you know. And the NBA, I think, just like market women, they have their organizations. And that organizations, when something is not going right in that market, those market women, they use those organizations to fight back. You know, we keep complaining the judiciary, and all the lawyers, the MBAs, they keep, you know, working hand in hand with the judiciary. And let's not forget, the judiciary, if we get it wrong, everything is wrong. It's as simple as ABCD. You hear them, the lawyers come on television telling you, if you put 2 or 3 lawyers here, they will give you 3 different interpretations. So what is the use of the school they went? Or they went to school and they don't teach them the accurate interpretation. The second one is, how about changing making the electoral law? I'm asking this question intentionally because he is a lawyer. Making the electoral law that the INEC, because to me, that is the key to all these things we are saying. For INEC to be the one to prove that the election they conducted was free, fair, and credible.
So go ahead, please.
Let me just respond in the sequence. He asked the questions, and I thank him. The Nigerian Bar Association is like an organization of lawyers, right? And having only lawyers, legal practitioners as members and for their welfare. Let me put it first in context. The primary purpose of the NBA is for the welfare of members, of lawyers, like every other organization. But as an organization of conscience, the NBA speaks on public issues and public policies. The NBA has its limits in terms of discipline only to its members. So the NBA disciplines lawyers, legal practitioners. I've said this earlier, not judges. So what does the NBA do? The NBA has the disciplinary committee, right, of the NBA in all of its branches, to the extent that if any lawyer is found culpable of any conduct that is unbecoming of a lawyer, is usually disciplined. The discipline could be a complete removal of your name from the role as a legal practitioner. That's the one they say they will derobe you. Or it could be a suspension for a period or a reprimand, like every other organization. So the NBA, and from time to time, regularly, every time, the NBA is there disciplining, if you like, its members. But you could see that the members of the NBA who are legal practitioners are not the only persons in the Nigerian society, even in all of these corrupt practices and the electoral act or electoral process that we're talking about. Now, the NBA again also acts as a pressure group, expectedly to do so firmly as a pressure group. In what regard? To demand and ask for electoral reforms, like every other organization. It's not exclusive to the NBA. A lawyer is not about law. It's only someone who has studied the law to be able to know how to apply it. Otherwise, the law is for everyone in society. So even other professional organizations can act as pressure groups demanding for good laws, not just only in the areas that relate to their profession. Take the NMA, for instance. There are legislations that relate to medical practices, regulation of medical practice in Nigeria. So the NMA is the primary pressure group organization to insist in reviews of those laws. But the NMA can also act as a pressure group even in these areas we're talking about, because elections cut across all professions. Therefore, judges, which is more like the aspect of judiciary that we talk about, The judges are disciplined by the National Judicial Council. And again, the National Judicial Council also has a committee and a disciplinary procedure to discipline any erring judge. A lot of them have been disciplined. Some have also, again, been removed and sacked as judges. Some have been retired compulsorily. Some may have been suspended and different forms of punishment. But the problem here, this is just to lay as if, oh, his rhetorics is the principle. That's what it applies. But are we serious? That is where I think the person that called is concerned about. Are we serious, really, and determined with this discipline? Does the NBA indeed really stand upright in discipline, ensuring the discipline of its members? Because there are a lot of corrupt practice even amongst lawyers. All of these matters are filed by lawyers. Like I talked about the issue of interpretation. I tell you, there is only one interpretation that will be right, even out of the three of the lawyers that will be on the platform discussing a legal matter on TV, for instance. You see that if there is one, there is only one, but the other two may be sentimental or biased, even sometimes when they know, especially when they are political matters. I would tell my caller, dear friend, that the way lawyers behave in handling other matters that are non-political and the way the interpretations go is not as confusing and as complex when it comes to legal matter, political matters. That is not to say that the political matters are in themselves that complex and confusing. But because of the
that means the lawyers then, because of personal interest, they try to make
are part of the problem now. I can't mince it,
and that is why three lawyers can misinterpret and
Precious, you have had it on this your program. Put three of us as lawyers. Put three of us as lawyers on this your program, and if it's a political matter, and you see how heated the argument will be, and you even see how diverse the interpretation. That's when you hear all of the rules of interpretation, the canons of interpretation of legislations. But tell me, if it is a legal matter, with relation to land disputes that are between individuals, it may not seem that contentious. Matrimonial causes, contracts. You see that lawyers will always say, oh, there is already a standing precedent. But when it comes to political matters, even the precedent that is standing.
That means you lawyers are also part of you. In fact, you're a very integral part of the problem.
I have said so. There's no pretense. I'm a lawyer. I have said so.
We did like this now.
I have said so. Lawyers are not immune. All the matters that I'm talking about that are in court. It's not lawyers and senior advocates that are filing against even those who are asking that the constitution be upheld. You are filing a suit that the constitution should be upheld, that if this happened, this should happen. And the person who filed the suit is even telling you that there are Supreme Court decisions that have clearly interpreted the provisions of that constitution. That this, you will now say lawyers will file in defense. And those lawyers are paid heavily by politicians. And most times, unfortunately, they are the very senior lawyers, senior advocates. And sometimes even in court, you see how junior lawyers will even be giggling. Oh, why is SAN doing like this?
And then there is also no way we can also stop our politicians from having so much access to money and so much power. We will make them, they use them influence decisions like this.
Exactly. So many people have prescribed that even the legislators, for instance, should have been part-time. They do your work, go do your engineering, do your medical practice, do your law, do your other things. If you're a member of the National Assembly, if people agree to be meeting 2 times in a week, you know that, or maybe in a fortnight, you know that that day you are going to do your legislation. Can you even do it online to some extent, apart from the times you'll be voting? Maybe there are issues that have been tabled and you're canvassing. But now we've turned it as a job for retired old men. You serve as a governor for 8 years, you now retire and go and do a full-time legislating. And then you earn so much money. Maybe some of this, it may not be the same thing elsewhere. Some may argue that by elsewhere legislators are full-time as well. But look at the peculiarities of your own society. Because of how we have made politics so lucrative in Nigeria, we are having this challenge, impunity, lawlessness, and all that. Can we make it less lucrative financially and see whether even better people, more committed people who can sacrifice and who are even determined to come into it, you will see that some of them will run away.
You look at what is happening in our society now. Sometimes, you know, it's not even a matter of going to court. One goes to court and wins a case. but he gets frustrated the more. I don't know if it is the judiciary that is their responsibility to enforce judgment. After 2023 election, when Peter Obi and the co went to court, the court mandated the INEC to release electoral materials to them. INEC refused and frustrated that it was towards the beginning of that or the proceedings that they released the result. So in that case, what is NBA doing in that regard? Does it mean that if you go to court, if you win a case, you are now your own? Nobody comes to implement the judgment. Nobody comes to enforce that judgment.
Peter Obi wouldn't lose anything if he's not the president of Nigeria. So it's me and you. I came all the way to vote last year, and last time, hopefully I'll come again to vote. I voted for my mandate here in America because I believed in who I was voting for. I wasn't voting for. I'm not going to tell Peter Obi, go fight, go die, go do this one, because if he's not the president of Nigeria, I'm talking of Peter Obi, to lose. So the Nigerian people should come out and fight for what they want, and not put everything on one person. Like, you people make it look like it's Peter Obi's problem. It's not his problem. He's fine. Even if he's not the president of Nigeria today, tomorrow, he's not going to be hungry. It is the regular Nigerians that will be hungry.
Okay, yes, Precious. Very quickly, the Nigerian Bar Association does not enforce judgments. It's not their responsibility. Like I said earlier, the Nigerian Bar Association is an association of lawyers. And then again, legal practitioners are private practitioners. Every lawyer is like a self-employed person, a private, doing his private job, right? The ones that are even public are into state practice, that is state council. Even if they are still members of the NBA, but they are working for the state in the Ministry of Justice. So we need to understand the NBA, like I've explained, and the responsibility of the NBA. The NBA does not get involved. The NBA does not get involved in cases. So cases are private individuals' rights. So the individual claimant who went to court is his business, it is matter, okay? And since it is his matter, even when he gets judgment as judgment creditor, it's to his benefit. It doesn't go to the NBA. So if it's also the judgment debtor, that is to say the one that the judgment is against, it is his detriment. It doesn't go to the NBA. So it is the judgment creditor, the person who got the benefit of that judgment, that the person the judgment is in favor, that takes the step to enforce that judgment. So let's take a land dispute, for instance. You went to court to say the land belongs to you and Mr. A was trespassing, and the court agrees that it belongs to you, and that stops Mr. A from continuing to trespass. It is the NBA has no role to play there. So it is the individual who went to court, the claimant, that will enforce to ensure that that defendant does not come again. Now, where the defendant is coming again, it is that individual who got the judgment. But that is where now the judiciary comes in. That we take this judgment, take out a procedure that is in the judgment enforcement rules that will enable him to charge this other judgment debtor, the person that the judgment was against, to court for contempt. That is, he's simply going to tell the court that, see, oh, this person you said should not trespass on my land, he has disobeyed your order. I am coming. I'm laying a very serious foundation that will interest our caller. That this person has disobeyed your order. The order is not the order of the NBA. It's the order of the court. It's the order of the judge. So it is the order of the, if you like, the judiciary. Now, so the person, the claimant now comes to say, Mr. Judge, you ordered that this person should not come into this land again, that the land belongs to me. So he shouldn't trespass anymore. You even actually awarded damages in my favor against him. But this person has apparently disobeyed your order and has trespassed again. So the judge will now call him, this defendant, hey, come and tell me why you should not go to prison for disobeying my order. That is a judge who understands the power of the order of the court. A judge who makes a pronouncement. If I were a judge and I make a pronouncement I take the time and the pain with the rigor of the long hand in the Nigerian legal system, the rigor of sitting from morning till evening as a judge without technology, that I have to strain my ears to hear everything that everybody said. And I take my hand and write every single word that everybody said from one day of the beginning of this suit until the last day. And I took time and read and researched and delivered a judgment. And you say you will disobey my judgment. Haba. The court, the laws, the rules empower that judge to commit that disobedient judgment debtor to prison for disobeying the order of court. And you know what, Precious? It is when we act in this way and give effect to the orders made by the judges themselves, that's the judgment of court, that people will learn lessons. So in terms of enforcement of judgment, that the caller said, what's the NBA doing? Like I said, the NBA has no role to enforce judgment. The NBA is not a party to a suit, but the judge who made the order can give strong effect to his order when the creditor, the judgment creditor, the beneficiary of that judgment comes complaining to him again, crying. You know why? Because this judgment creditor cannot again to take the laws in his hand to go and enforce that judgment. That is to say, the trespasser comes in and you want to go and beat him and chase him away. You may be committing another offense one way.
So thank you to everyone who's been part of the show. I appreciate it. Plenty. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you for your contribution. We will continue to the talk for the growth and development of our country. I go see on our next time.